My wife is from Queens, and it's my duty as a husband to learn more about it. It's the biggest borough of New York City. Spanning 14 miles across and 15 miles down, it reaches both the East River and the Atlantic Ocean. Because of its large size and varied terrain, the borough includes dozens of unique neighborhoods, from waterfront areas to suburban-style communities to crowded city streets, each with its own character. And in this video, I'm going to attempt to show how it all fits together. Roughly 20,000 years ago, the Laurentide ice sheet spread across the region of Queens at the height of the Wisconsin glaciation. The glacier pushed soil, stones, and clay into long ridges that later became the backbone of Long Island. As it melted, it sculpted the northern hills and washed vast plains toward the southern coast. The retreating ice also left ponds, creeks, and fertile soil that would sustain life. Early Algonquin-speaking natives built small woodland villages and called the region Matinecock, meaning hilly country. One of their settlements was located near present-day Douglaston and Little Neck, where shellfish from the bay fed the community. Many Algonquin words from the era survive today, such as Rekawaki for Rockaway. In 1524, Giovanni de Verrazano's voyage brought the first European record of the joint, and Henry Hudson followed decades later. Then, Dutch explorer Adrian Block mapped the coast of Long Island. These explorations gave rise to Dutch New Netherland and the settlement of New Amsterdam under Peter Minuit. Later, Governor Peter Stuyvesant encouraged farming communities to grow along the Queens shoreline. English settlers soon arrived from the New England area, allowed to stay under Dutch authority as long as they pledged loyalty. They founded settlements in today's Astoria, Whitestone, and more. Flushing was founded in 1649 and became one of the most prosperous towns in New Netherland. Before that, an earlier settlement at Maspeth had failed due to conflict, but some of its residents rebuilt inland as Newtown, today's Elmhurst. In 1655, English settlers established Jamaica, and 2 years later, residents issued the Flushing Remonstrance, a bold stand for freedom of religion under Dutch rule. John Bown upheld that principle by holding Quaker meetings despite Stuyvesant's ban. His home still stands in Flushing today as a monument to early American liberty. But even as ideals of tolerance spread, European diseases like smallpox devastated the island's native peoples, leaving the land nearly empty. Amid this changing world, English warships arrived in 1664 and seized New Netherland, renaming it New York. Under English rule, the land was reorganized, and Queens County was established in 1683. It was named after Portuguese-born Queen Catherine of Braganza, wife of Charles II. Jamaica was selected as the county seat, and further east, the towns of Hempstead and Oyster Bay were thriving as agricultural towns within its bounds. Farms multiplied, new paths emerged, and the King's Highway Road became a lifeline of commerce. During the 1700s, crafts, trade, and government expanded. But after the 7 Years' War in the mid-1700s, tensions began to rise in Britain's North American colonies. People were divided, but Queens generally leaned towards the Crown as loyal loyalists. After the Declaration of Independence, the Revolutionary War got under full swing, and the Battle of Long Island in August of 1776 would be the largest engagement of the war. Through Jamaica Pass, British troops outflanked rebels, leading to a major defeat for George Washington and his Continental Army. For the remainder of the war, Queens was under British control, with its fields and homes serving the Crown's forces. As the war eventually came to a close and American victory was imminent, many Loyalists packed their bags and fled to other British territories. Queens had a modest population of about 16,000, and it would soon thrive as a supplier of produce and grain in the new American nation. Turnpikes replaced rough paths, and during the War of 1812, forts were built that saw no battle. In these years, DeWitt Clinton was busy planning for the Erie Canal at his home in Maspeth, and Queens became known for horse racing with tracks like the Union Course. St. Paul's College opened in the 1830s, and the neighborhood's name, College Point, remained long after the seminary closed. The arrival of the Long Island Railroad linked farms to city markets and encouraged population growth. Additional railroad lines in the 1850s and 60s made Queens even more accessible. Industrial growth followed, as well as communities like Ravenswood, Woodhaven, and Queens Village. Jackson Avenue was helping people get around, just as unrest over the 1863 draft during the Civil War reflected wider social tensions. After the Civil War, expansion brought new neighborhoods like Richmond Hill, Ozone Park, and Glendale, while Long Island City was incorporated and became an administrative center. By the 1880s, streetcars and new transit lines were spurring growth in Ridgewood, Morris Park, and more. Then, in 1898, Queens joined Greater New York City, forming one of its 5 boroughs. Not everyone in Queens was on board with this, however, and a year later, Nassau County was formed from its 3 eastern towns. For the rest of them, even though it was a part of New York City, the borough remained relatively rural, with a population of about 150,000. Things would change, however, as the 20th century began. Urban growth spread steadily, and early planned neighborhoods like Laurelton, Howard Beach, and Kew Gardens saw new housing. Rockaway Beach drew crowds with an amusement park, and the 1909 opening of the Queensboro Bridge connected Queens to Manhattan's heart. On top of that, tunnels to Penn Station made the borough more accessible than ever, and these projects opened up previously isolated areas. Neighborhoods including Sunnyside and Woodside expanded rapidly. In 1915, Queens hosted the U.S. Open tennis tournament for the first time, and that same year, street numbering was standardized, bringing order to growing neighborhoods. Then a new subway system fueled even more growth, and the 1920s saw the construction of many single-family homes in neighborhoods like Bayside and Hollis. Planned communities like Forest Hills, Jackson Heights, and Rego Park offered modern housing and green spaces. The population hit 1 million around this time, just as the 7 train reached Flushing. As with other neighborhoods, Springfield Gardens was growing quickly, right around the time King Cullen opened its doors, one of the first modern supermarkets. And even with the Great Depression, development continued. The Triborough Bridge, Whitestone Bridge, and LaGuardia Airport were completed, as well as the Flushing Meadows Corona Park. The latter would be the setting of the 1939 World's Fair, where fancy new technologies, like television, were shown off. During World War II, Queens' industrial neighborhoods were active, and work began on the Idlewild Airport, which would later become JFK. After the war, the GI Bill sparked rapid suburban growth, and the United Nations met in Flushing Meadows before moving to Manhattan. The Long Island Expressway followed, as well as the Queens Symphony Orchestra and Throgs Neck Bridge. Colleges provided higher learning, and the Mets gave the borough its own baseball team, playing at Shea Stadium by 1964. At the same time, Weight Watchers began here, and another World's Fair was held, this time providing a Unisphere that is still iconic. Soon after, the 1965 Immigration Act reshaped Queens, filling its neighborhoods with cultures across the world. Amid these changes, the Queens Historical Society took root, and the Mets won their first World Series. By the 1970s, the Flushing Tribune newspaper began publishing, and the Son of Sam killings shook the borough. The 1980s brought gentrification, and around this time, my wife was born here. She would eventually grow up and move away, destined to fall in love with an upstate boy. As the 90s began, Queens' population was about to hit 2 million, and immigrant communities flourished, with Flushing's Chinatown becoming one of the largest in the country. Modern towers rose in Long Island City, and the 9/11 attacks left the borough mourning, but also united. Then Hurricane Sandy's waves battered the coast, and by 2015, Queens was recognized as one of the most linguistically diverse places in the world. In 2020, Elmhurst Hospital stood at the heart of the COVID crisis, but things have moved forward, and with the new Grand Central Madison, there's a new direct link to Manhattan. Today, Queens holds nearly 2.5 million people. It continues to modernize, yet maintain its character as a borough of unique neighborhoods. And to my wife, I just hope I did it justice. Have a good one.